welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team. I'm Yetta Decker, and today I'm here with a special guest. Her name is Roz Woodland. Hi, Roz.
Hi, Yetta.
Good to have you.
Always good to see you.
Yeah, it's good. And Roz is one of our clients who we have worked with for a while, and she'll explain why I say a while. Anyway, it is awesome just to get an opportunity to share with you what the experience is like, maybe some of the things that she's learned along the way, and what you might want to know that you can apply on your house buying journey. So Roz did actually purchase a home with us just in, well, like a day or so ago, really. And we're thrilled about that, as is she.
Oh, yeah.
More than a little thrilled, right?
Absolutely.
And so, Roz, why did you choose the Decker team? How did that all happen?
Well, when my husband Sean and I were going through our marriage prep in December, Pastor Doug Stringer suggested that perhaps we weren't on the same page for finance and led us to More Than Enough seminar where we met Ken and Lynn Fraser. And then learning everything that we learned there, and Ken suggested that we go and apply for pre-approved mortgage, and got pre-approved, and then started working on the financial plan. And the first of the Decker team that I ended up working with was Ryan, because I believe that you guys were in Mexico then, and that was in December, early January. So,
okay. And so the workshop, just for those that aren't familiar with it, Ken Decker and Lynn Fraser from More Than Enough, well, Ken Decker's from the Decker team, and Lynn Fraser from More Than Enough do a monthly workshop which is geared to just getting your finances in shape.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's called the Financial Fitness.
Yes.
Well, it's based on the Financial Fitness show, which is also a weekly show. And so Roz and Sean came to that.
Yes, we did.
Learned some valuable information.
So much, yeah. Sean got Ken's book and read it immediately.
Oh, yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah, Ken wrote a book, for those that don't know that. It's called The Wealth Formula, and it really just takes a couple's journey from not having a great clue on how to handle finances, on how to navigate that whole world in a way that is successful.
Yeah, I have to confess, I haven't read it, but Sean, I know Sean keeps telling me. It's right by the bed, though. Okay. I mean, I could.
Okay,
but,
you could.
Yeah,
okay.
I could.
However, you still took the information through Sean reading it.
Absolutely.
And then you've applied it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Well,
okay.
he keeps suggesting that I do, and I keep telling him I will.
I suggest you do, too. So next time, before you come back on the show, you're going to have it read.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. That means before the next house.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, then I don't ever have to read it.
No. We'll start down that investment journey.
Oh, no.
So, anyway, that's wonderful. And then you decided that the Decker team was somebody that you felt could take care of you well. And when did you know that it was the right choice? Because I know you've had a little bit of experience in the past, and we'll talk about that. When did you know?
Yeah, I think it was probably after... for certain, I mean, I knew, Ken was so professional in, all the places that he showed us, but it was after the first offer didn't pan out, let's say, that, and that he was still willing to work with us, because we're at the lower end of the housing market. And I had some reservations, thinking, oh gosh, we're kind of wasting their time. They're a big, successful agency, and we're just looking at such a low value type of investment. Mm-hmm. And I really felt that maybe that we would be served in less of a way, or I felt that we might be wasting our time. And we got right back up on the real estate buying horse, and Ken was just there, and was just wonderful that he was still as invested in us after the first time.
And the first one that fell through wasn't because we didn't get it negotiated.
Oh, yeah,
we got the agreement negotiated. Everybody did what they had to do to get it accomplished. And then once it was negotiated, you felt that...
Well, the lawyer recommended that the condo association might be not in the shape that we would like it to be in to purchase there.
Right.
So,
and so part of it was you're not in the higher end of the market, which is totally fine. And it's kind of neat to know that you didn't feel any difference between what one of our potentially higher end buyers would experience. And it's interesting that was one of your concerns. Did you ever voice that to Ken?
No.
No, okay. You kept that all to yourself, did you?
Yeah,
okay, good. So he didn't even know what he had to rise to the occasion to, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right? That he just lived what he needed to live, as did the whole team, right?
Yeah.
And so when the lawyer advised that the status certificate wasn't quite in the condition, meaning the condo corp wasn't as good as we thought it was a matter of just walking away from that one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And so we got you out of that. We got the deposit check back. And then you started out there looking again.
Yes, we did.
And how did that go?
Well, so that was, the second condo was, originally things that when I say we, I really mean me, thought that I wanted was to be within walking distance to work and have a view of water. So either the river or Mooney's Bay. At the time, it seemed really important, but not realizing the market that the buildings that were in our price range that had that view are 40, 50 years old and, have infrastructure issues,
Some of them.
Right.
Yeah.
In our price range.
Right.
And so then we looked at another one and it had been all tricked out. It was really lovely, really lovely looking. It had a great view of the bay and didn't need to have any work done of any kind. So that was sort of exciting. And but it was at a higher price point and slightly higher price point. Yeah. And although the mortgage level that we chose was far less than what we'd been approved for, because I was very unsettled with having a payment that big. I just didn't want to go there. I like to have the freedom to do other things. And so then there was a problem with my financing at that point when it went to the second stage of approval, and that we needed to have a larger down payment, or the lenders would like us to have a larger down payment, and we just couldn't swing it in. We could have gone with the longer close, but then the vendors weren't willing to go that long because they were anxious to sell sooner. And so we didn't get that one. So that one, we felt more disappointment about that one than we did, but it was a learning process to learn, on the financing side of things, some of the things that can change. So it was a great education in all the variables that you all deal with, that if you are fortunate enough to go in and buy a house and just have it approved and you buy it, you would never understand all of the reason that agents really earn their commission, There's just no way that you'd be able to appreciate it as much as we do.
Well, that's kind of a good thing. So how did you experience that your best interest, and I think you've been sharing a little bit of that, and maybe specifically how you knew your best interests were being taken care of through the whole process? Well,
of course, Ken's diligence was incredible, but the first time that I was able to speak with you when the second offer didn't pan out, and you had called me and we spoke for the first time, and you were going through the value of buying now instead of waiting, and if there was a way to get a higher down payment in a shorter period of time, and those things. So that was, really the caring there about, because I had shared with you, Sean, wanting to purchase and not wanting to throw away rent money, and so you listened to what I was saying and then said, well, let's look at the numbers and let's see, if it isn't a better value.
Options,
exactly.
Right?
So, again, you didn't have that, oh, you people are driving me crazy, because that's really how I felt. Like, I really felt like we must be the clients that are driving them crazy.
No.
So,
really.
Yeah, it was really, it was just such a blessing to deal with all of you, and you're always so gracious, and it was very comforting. It was very comforting.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's what we want, regardless of how many times it takes.
Yes.
And so your needs, in terms of what you were looking for, were they fulfilled, and how were they fulfilled?
Well, they were fulfilled, but, in such a divine way, because as I said, I had these preconceived ideas that, the most important things was the walk to work, so my husband and I could share the one car, wanted to have the view of the water. So I had these preconceived ideas, and then so we looked at apartments with the view, and then I thought, okay, well, if we can't get the view, we'll get the walk to work. So, Ken took us to see some semis in that area, and and they didn't work out. And then, oddly enough, the home that we purchased is not within walking distance, but it does have the bungalow layout, so the the squeaky joints and stuff won't be an issue. And originally, we were going to see that place for the layout, and then to ask Ken if there were other places in the city that were laid out that way, and just went in and fell in love with that place, and just
cool, it
was pretty cool. Yeah. So then it was just my Sean mentioned that he knew from the pictures with the red countertops and all the color that was in it, that he knew in his heart before we went that was going to be the place. And I was like, no, it's in the wrong area. I can't walk to work. It's too far, and all that stuff. But I believe that I'm not sure if it was really for delight on Ken's face when we saw it, and I was so excited about it.
I'm sure it was
maybe a bit of both.
It was probably both. I think that would be fair, right? Because that was number 4. Because there was also one offer, we skipped for a minute. There was a number 3.
Yeah.
And what happened with our number 3?
And number 3 was also the condo.
The status certificate.
Well, actually, it was sort of the status certificate a little bit, and because of the age of the building, there was asbestos, and we knew that we would have to do some renovations there because it had an original kitchen. It was built in the 70s, so had some updating, and then with the asbestos that was disclosed, it was like, it's going to be
just a risk,
a bigger
really
job.
Take
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I can appreciate that. So in terms of communication, what was that part of the journey like?
Well, it was always phenomenal. Even, as I said right from the beginning, when I was so astounded the very first time, and it was a place that we never even ended up going to look at because Ryan advised us that Ken would respond while you guys were on holiday just saying, I've contacted Ryan, and he'll answer you because I'm not in the country right now. And I thought, wow, it's amazing. That was just a quick, who does that? That was amazing. Right from the very beginning. And it's always been that way, either, via text or, emails, just constant communication with your team, all of you, your support staff in the offices. It's just been really a wonderful journey.
And was there a time where you felt out of control?
With you guys?
How many
or
times?
Just with us?
Okay. Well, I guess those are 2 different things.
2 very different things. Yes, there's many times I felt out of control in this journey. I think the probably the most challenging part of it is that I've had the home buying experience and home selling experience before, where my husband Sean has not, and he would be really disappointed when these offers wouldn't go through, right? We just had to keep reminding him, as you would remind us as well, that, God had our best interest at heart and wouldn't, there was always something better. No matter what we thought about the place that we thought would be our home, that, God had something better for us. And I know you told me that. It was the second offer. The second offer, yes. And your daughter also mentioned that when the second offer didn't come through. Yeah.
Well, exactly. It can be really disappointing, right? When you're confident. I mean, you don't needlessly put offers in on properties. You do it because you really think it's the place you want to call home, right? Yeah. And so when you get that all negotiated, go through that entire process, you are expecting that's where you're going to live.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're just joining us now on the Inside Track on Real Estate, I've been chatting with Roz Woodland, and we've been talking about the home buying process and in the lower end of the market, which I think I hadn't necessarily given a lot of thought to, navigates maybe a little differently than the higher end of the market. I mean, we still have buyers that have specific expectations in any price point. It's just there's more things that are out of your control that can impact the purchase.
Right. Yeah.
Because financing is usually a little bit more challenging, actually, not easier. You would think that if I was buying a more expensive home, that it would be harder, and yet it's often quite the other way around, because the lenders are more specific the tighter the ratios are and the tighter the whole lending process is, right? So that's part of it. And then there's things that you just can't get around in terms of the actual real estate.
Right. Well, and as I said, the condo lifestyle, because my daughters are in their 20s now, and now I'm looking at the grandchildren, is entirely different. And since I've been away from the grass cutting and laneway shoveling, and I kind of like it.
And, and you didn't want to go back to that. Except there's more things out of your control.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
because there's people managing and running that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what would you say, Roz, were some of those, and you've shared a little bit already, and I'm wondering about the specialization within the team and how you had different people doing different things. How did that add value to you?
Well, it was wonderful in as much as in buying a home, you're so excited, and if you see something, you want to see it right away, and just in case anybody else wants to buy your property, so that, having your team approach, allows us to keep the excitement level high, because if if Ken couldn't make it, then you would come, and,
right.
So it's...
So somebody could always show up quickly.
Yes.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Nice.
Whereas if you are a solo realtor, as much as you want to do that, I know when I was a solo realtor, I wanted to drop everything every time somebody needed to see something. And yet if I was already somewhere else...
And if you had 10 clients like us? Wow.
Fortunately, that doesn't happen at one time, Roz. Yeah, most of the time we don't go through the journey 4 times. So even when Roz and I chatted about her coming on the show, I thought, is this a good idea? You may think that we can't get it right the first time.
That's right.
And that's absolutely not true.
That's right.
Most of the time it does come together, and yet it's kind of fun to hear, I think, Roz's story where it doesn't matter that it does matter, and yet it doesn't matter if it takes 3 or 4 times, because we're going to stay with it.
Yeah.
And not change our demeanor or any
I know
of
we're
that.
a special case, but you never cease to make me feel special. Truly.
Well, that's cool. That's nice.
We might cry.
We might, and we promise that we might, and yet we won't. Okay, we're going to stay with it. Yeah. So the team structure sounds like it worked for you.
Absolutely.
And so you had support staff. If we weren't if we were all out there, the realtors showing property, they could answer your questions. They forwarded paperwork for you. Yeah. How did that work for you?
Well, it worked well. I would have all of the documents would be sent to me at work, because of course you have the printer and the scanner there. So it was just great. They could zip stuff back and forth, and it was very, very handy. And because currently I still live very close to work, that if it was an evening thing, I could zip over there, print it off, and sign.
Yet again. Yeah, we did a lot of signing on that one, right? So something that I think is interesting, and it is not to say anything not positive about another, because I think, every industry is full of people that have really figured out how to nail it, and then people that maybe haven't figured out to the same degree how to nail it. I know you were mentioning you've had quite a few real estate experiences in the past.
Yes.
And that you didn't know us then.
That's true.
And so you didn't come to us at that point.
That's right. Yeah.
And so how would you say the experience overall differs from what you've experienced in the past?
Well, as I briefly mentioned earlier, I was involved in a very bad real estate experience before, where we were selling one home to move to another. We had some bridge financing in place, and the deal fell through that day, and like the very last day, the closing day, and then we had to borrow the bridge funding externally, and it was a tremendously horrible experience, which is why it's kind of ironic that it took 4 offers to do this one. But and we ended up holding 2 mortgages for a year. So we lost a substantial amount of money in that exchange, and it was tremendously difficult because, of course, it created a huge amount of financial stress. And it had ended up somehow in all the paperwork transition that the last page of some documents that you send to the bank, I guess, was withheld from at the time. So it was done in a very indiscreet manner that I was unaware of until it fell through. And then, so that was like it really was a horrific experience.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, so this what the Decker
I don't
team
think
was,
we've ever had that.
no,
with anybody.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm
So the Decker
pretty sure
team was
no.
always tremendously transparent, and then letting me know what the next step would be and what if we were waiting, because of course at the time it's like, okay, now what? Like, what happens next? What happens next? And you're like, okay, pray, and
And this is the
and
next
this
step.
is the next step, and this is what we're waiting for, and this is what will happen next, and. Yeah, so David at More Than Enough was the same way with the mortgage, and you guys were like that with, now we're going to wait for this, and we need to hear back from the vendor, and, so it's just always a great, transparent process that, we always knew hopefully what was coming, as much as you can, and with God in your life to know what's coming next.
Right. And the what next is actually something that we take a lot of attention to. So it's interesting because we didn't do any prep around this and what this would sound like or what you would get to hear. We didn't have any conversation around that other than to know we were going to chat about Roz's experience. And the what next is something we actually encourage every team member, whether it's a support team member or one of the realtors, every time we're on the phone or sending an email with a client, it's tell them what's next. Just the one next thing. You don't have to say the next 44, because the challenge with that is I like to do that. I love to inform and educate and all that sort of stuff, and you can't retain it all anyway. Right? It's too much.
Well, especially when you're as excited as you are when you're purchasing a home.
Yeah, or even selling, right? You're in that mode. And so to say one thing
I'm going to
that's
stay
next,
there forever.
Are you?
Yes.
Well, okay, except you're going to read Ken's book now. And once you read Ken's book and you build some equity and you get your finances where they need to be.
Well, those would be the investment properties.
That's right.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about. The investment properties. Yeah. See, you're on this page. This is good. So how would you say the experience kind of compares to the others you've had?
There is no comparison. There's no comparison. Like, this is just so far in a way, even though it was emotional, bit of a roller coaster with so many offers, but the experience with the Decker team was, there's no words. There's no words I can describe how delightful it was to deal with all of you, and really what a positive experience. Really positive experience.
And I'm going to make you find words
beyond delightful. Make me find words beyond delightful. Well,
because it would be nice for people that are listening or watching to have some sense of what made the experience delightful.
Well, professional, respectful. You listened so well to all of our craziness, encouraging. I don't know, biblical, like just in Ephesians 4:29 with words of encouragement, just always words of encouragement, and it was just really an encouraging, positive experience.
Even though it was a roller coaster ride.
Even though it was a roller coaster ride, it was still a positive, encouraging experience. Yeah.
Okay. And asking questions of you, I know that's something that we all like to do because it helps you sort of stay in track. How did you find that helped the process? Just by us asking you a question that would sort of engage you. How did you find that part of it?
Well, I think that's a great part of it because, as I said, I went in with these preconceived ideas and ended up with something completely different.
Right. So we didn't just give in.
No, you didn't just, I would just find her one of those places and then, we'll be done. Like you really, truly had our best interests at heart, which was phenomenal. And I hadn't experienced that in the previous real estate experience that we had. Clearly, our interest was the very last thing, that happened. So.
Well, the cool thing we have found over these years is, I guess, 2.5 decades of helping clients buy and sell homes, a few thousand now, so, a little bit of experience under the belt, and is that when we focus, and when I say I or we, the entire Decker team, focuses on the client and their interest, ultimately, we do just fine too.
Right.
Without having to think about it.
Right.
Which is kind of a neat vantage point. So how would you suggest we improve the experience?
I have no suggestions. I believe you guys have it all wrapped up. I really
Well,
do.
I promise you we don't have it all wrapped up, so it seems most days somebody tells us something we could do better. So I
Yeah.
appreciate, Roz, that for you, that wasn't the case, and
Yeah,
we're certainly
absolutely not.
open to suggestions. And so
Yeah.
that's...
If
you
I come
think
up
of
with something
you'll call
after,
me?
yes, I
Okay,
will.
good. So if you're just joining us now, you've missed a great show where Roz has chatted a lot about her experience with the Decker team. And I just want to highlight a couple of properties that are actually kind of in the price range of where Roz purchased. So there's a really neat property in Hunt Club, and it's a stacked it's a 4-story building, and this unit is on the 3rd floor. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and it's in the 160 range. So, I mean, that's incredibly affordable, well-run condo corporation, so we wouldn't run into any issues with the status certificate there. There's been no challenges in that building. And then also in the 180 range, a what do you call it? A row house. So it's not a row home. So a 2-story sort of, a townhome with condo fees. And it's listed at 180. So it also gives you some great opportunity for space because it's a 3-bedroom, 2 bath, so a fair bit more room there. And then we also have one of those beautiful stacked units where you come in and you walk up a flight of steps, and then you've got 2 doors, kind of one going to the lower unit, one going to the upper unit. And it is a 2-bedroom, 2 bath, and it's a loft style, and it's the largest one. So this one actually has a loft, and it is listed at $225 in Barhaven. So a really nice selection. We've got quite a few others as well on the market. Those are 3 that I thought kind of fit with what we've been talking about, and opportunities to purchasing units where we have good status certificates, good condo corps. They're well run, well managed, and in a really affordable price range. So whether you're thinking of something affordable, whether it's an investment property or whether it's for yourself to live in or for your kids, because we're doing a fair bit of that as well for clients where their kids are coming to university or college, and why not own a unit and maybe rent out 1 or 2 rooms. The townhouse style for 180 in Bell's Corners would maybe work really well for that. So if you're interested in those properties or anything else, you want to connect with us at the Decker team at 613-860-4663. That's 613-860-HOME. Or you can always email us, info@deckerteam.com. And if you'd like to attend a workshop, a financial fitness workshop, or one of the wealth building workshops, the investing in real estate workshop, or any of the others that we offer, we've always got one going on. There's one pretty much every week. We've got 4 a month, even if you're considering a career in real estate. But how about you? If the training we're provided or the money we're right, would you want to join us in real estate? You've got lots of experience.
Yes, I do. We'll talk about that.
Okay, So thanks for joining us on the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team, and thank you, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. Thanks, Roz.